All right, so I'm streaming a little bit early this morning. I want to get to church work for the rest of the day, and so I'm just going to work for about an hour and then go for my run and then get after it. I don't know who watches these, anybody that watches it live, but I have been talking to people that have been seeing it and watching it, and so I'm going to continue doing it. I don't know why someone would want to watch me work, but um, apparently it is a little bit interesting to some people. So I want to kind of jump into Excalidraw here and talk about the problem. Actually, you know what? Let's go in here and let's log in. I worked yesterday on redoing the login and registration flow a little bit. Let me show you that because I really like that. So I'm going to show you the registration screen. So before I had this like one long registration form, and here I've broken it up into two. So let's say John Doe, John at example.com. And then set up church name, we'll call it Example Church, Example Massachusetts, why not? All right, select a color. This is really cool, watch this. So see these like blue dots and stuff over here? If we, let's say we pick orange, right? Illini, now they're orange. I don't know why I love that so much, but I do. And then we can pick our default content there and finish registration, and the link has been sent. Now, of course, that link was sent to nothing, so we gotta go through this again. I just wanted to show you the flow. I need to make that a lot smaller. All right. So let me go back to login and send me one of these. Okay. Go to my email. Grab my login link. Don't need two taps. Okay, so this is what I showed you guys yesterday. This is the onboarding flow, and it's absolutely crucial, like the most important thing, that when people sign up for a project like this, that they are like treated really, really well. Like it's super smooth. And so the first thing they need to do is import people. And so I showed you how that works yesterday. How they're going to import the people. They can either upload a CSV if they are coming from from another tool, or they have a spreadsheet of all their people. The only required fields are first name, last name, but all of the data they probably possibly have is going to flow into this. And this tool, Flatfile, just makes that really, really slick. And so they can do that, or they can manually enter. But after that happens, all right, we've got the second step, which is super important to get set up, and that is groups. And so I'm trying to explain to people that everything that they do revolves around groups. Okay, so everything that they do. So like if you want to add people to a message, people with the messages that people see or don't see, depend on what groups they're in. Taking attendance is kind of dependent on what group you're in. And so very important, this idea of groups is super, super important in Congregation Hub. And there are two groups that we create by default, and that is an active group, not the same as necessarily your members. These are just the people that are coming actively to your church. And then the prayer request group, okay, which is just people that have elected to receive prayer request. So these are our two groups. Now comes the hard part, right? By the way, just to show you what the services page looks like, just set up services. That'll be the third step, but that's for another day. All right, so how do we do this? How do we actually set up the active group? And now I'm going to jump into Excalidraw and show you this in the flow. So we start by, after the people are added, so this is our starting point, the person is prompted to set up the active group. That's exactly what we just saw. See, set up active group. Okay. Now, they are presented with the people picker for the active group. And so this people picker is the most important, probably, interface on the entire application. It is something that people are going to be using all the time. And if it is even just a little bit annoying, you will hate this app. And so I want to kind of explain what this has to do, and show you how it works on mobile and how it will work on desktop, and then start to build it. There's no doubt I'm not going to be able to build this today, but I want to kind of start to build it and show you what everything has to happen. So on your people picker, on a mobile, you're only going to be able to see one column. And so at the top, there is a tab where you can switch between the active and inactive, or the in and the out. Because that's really what we're looking at here. We're looking at a list of people that aren't in the group and a list of people that are in the group. And we have to be able to move people from one to the other quickly. Okay? And so a couple things this has to have. First is a search box. So like if you have 300 people and you're looking for all of the Davises, okay, you want to be able to click in here and just start searching Davis and see all of them, and then you can just be like, okay, they're here. Okay, clear that search box. Back to the whole list. The other thing is the ability to sort by last name. So ascending, descending, just a button is all I'm going to do. No fancy sorting interface, just that. Okay, the third thing is it's going to have a button that just really quickly, one click, you click the X and that person's removed. Or if it's on the add, you click the plus and that person is added. Okay, just a list of names. But also, there's going to be times where you're going through this and you're like, okay, all right, you want to mark, let's say 5 people at once. Ooh, I just thought of something else. I need to add this. Move this over here slightly. I don't know why I can't. Where is the? Anyways, but this would be Zen mode. I don't know why I'm in Zen mode. I don't remember starting that. Okay, so this would be a toggle to toggle the entire thing. So if you want to select all and remove everybody, this would be especially helpful if you search Davis and the whole Davis family there. Click that, remove everybody. So this is what the interface has to do. In a, another thing is it's important that it doesn't reset. So like if you add somebody, it doesn't jump back to the top and reset. I've had that happen before when I've built prior versions of this, and it's pretty frustrating. Let's look on a desktop. On a desktop, it's the exact same interface. The only difference is it's side by side and it updates automatically. So, you know, I moved the add button to be kind of an arrow because you're more, okay, this is out of the group, in the group, remove the tabs. Everything else is the same. So this would just be over here. Yeah, so everything else is the same. You get the idea of what the people picker is. This is sort of the core interface. You would use this, take attendance, and in attendance it would be who's here, who's not, instead of in the group and out of the group. In groups, it's who's in the group, who's not in the group. If you wanted to create, somebody had requested creating a custom message that you just send to a custom group of people, same idea. Okay, who's getting the message, who's not getting the message. But this is the core interface that has to be built. And so I'm going to start on that today. So I'm going to go into my terminal here, and I am going to clear everything. One tab here, and let's get started with this. All right, so right now our button, let's set up the active group. So I've got onboarding groups, and the next thing, this is actually should just be a link. So let me go to this onboarding groups screen. And this button, we're going to do, instead of this, we're going to do a href equals, for now we'll call it number, and then we're going to say aria role equals button. I believe that's what that. See if that doesn't mess the whole thing up. Okay, it did mess the whole thing up. So Pico content button. Roll button. It's not aria roll button, it's just roll button. So I can just do this. There we go. Okay, that's all I needed to do. Except for it doesn't look the same as the other button, but we'll fix that later. So set up the active group. So right now we have onboarding groups. What do I want this route to be? I want this route to be onboarding groups active. Let's do that. That makes sense. Go back here. 404 because the route doesn't exist. So we're going to find our onboarding routes, and we're going to copy this, and it was active, and set up groups controller, let's call it show active, onboarding.groups.active. Okay, so let's refresh here. Called the undefined method. The method doesn't exist. So now we need to go to our onboarding or setup groups controller. And we are going to, I called that show active, right? Welcome groups.active. Okay, so we should see a different error now. Onboarding groups active, not found. So now we need to go to this and copy, create onboarding groups dot active. Now if we refresh this, now we have this, but it's not what we want, right? So what I want to do now is I'm in this active, just make sure I'm going to remove everything here. Just to show that we're here. Okay, so what are we doing here? We are setting up the active group, so we probably want to start with an H1 that says, so let's make a header. And then let's do like main class equals container set up the active group. Okay. All right. So yeah, this isn't too bad. Let's go and let's make an explainer. So the active group is for people who are actively attending their church, whether or not they are actually members. Okay. That works. All right. Let's create some CSS here. So let's go to, let's open up another thing of Neovim. Public CSS components onboarding. Okay, so we have our main. I think if I just do this, main onboarding container, that's probably already, yeah, it's already centered. That's good enough for the heading. So now I need our two so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to have a div. Let's call this section, and we're going to call this class people picker. So we have our people picker section class, and in each section we have a div. I'm going to do this like once, and actually I think what I need to do is I need to create, for this section people picker, because it's going to be reused, I need to create my own CSS page for this. So I'm going to go to components, a people picker.css, go to my app.css, I am going to yank, paste. Picker.css. .css. Okay. All right, so let's do section. Just to make sure this is working. It's going to be hideous, but all right. No, this actually is not. I save this. Is it just because there's no space, maybe? Okay, yeah, so we've got what we need. I'm going to go to about 7:30 and then quit. All right. I actually think that maybe I'm going to have People Picker mobile and then People Picker desktop. So I think I'm going to have two sections here. And I hate doing that because it repeats code, but it's the best way at this point to show and hide various things. We might end up changing that later. All right. So let's look at our desktop view here. All right, let's just make this ugly, and then we'll figure out what needs to happen. So what happens at the top of the picker? We have a heading. Call this H3, and I'll move this down here. Well, let's just work on one thing at a time. I'll do that, but okay. So let's say H3 in the group, and then it's a span 15. Let me delete this. Okay. So our H3 I'm just going to keep the H3 default size, but we're going to say display inline block target the span. And the span needs to have a margin left of. By the way, I used to use Tailwind for everything, and I still like Tailwind, but I wanted this project to have clean code, and I kind of miss writing CSS. And so what I've done is I took a bunch of Tailwind stuff and I turned it into variables. So like one of the greatest things about Tailwind is that you have these size classes that are really nicely spaced out. And so what I've done is I've just gone into this include folder and I have sizing, and I just pulled these numbers right from Tailwind. So this is, if it was like M2 on Tailwind, that would be this S2, which is half a rem. And then I also added the, I love this small, extra small, medium, whatever. It just looks really good on Tailwind. It works, and so I grabbed that. I'm also using this thing called Pico, which is like a really minimal CSS framework. It's not even really a framework. It's like just a starter, like a starter thing, and it's meant to be kind of tweaked by people that know CSS. So it's not like Bootstrap or anything like that. It's very, very basic, but it does give you these buttons, and it gives you the dark mode and the light mode, and pretty decent looking forms to start, so you don't have to write your own forms from scratch, and a pretty nice typography scale to go to begin with. And so that's what I'm using. That's what I'm using for this. So I don't know why I said all that. All right, so back in our people picker. Other nice thing, sorry, while I'm talking about CSS, the other nice thing that's going on right now in CSS is that I used to write something called Sass, which was like syntactically awesome CSS, which is just like this tool that enabled you to kind of have an enhanced CSS syntax with nesting and variables and all that. Well, default CSS just keeps getting better, and they've added nesting. The variables, I don't love the way that variables work, but you get used to it, and it's pretty great. I mean, you don't really need any other CSS tool. It's gotten to the point where you can just write CSS. You can even do like calculations and stuff in CSS. So people hate on CSS. CSS is awesome. All right, back to what I was doing. So margin left. So what should happen here is the 15 should space out. So, yeah, exactly. Okay, and then we're gonna put some padding around here. So I'm gonna say padding. Let's give this a background color of see if that is a thing. No, it is not. So I need to go to my colors and see what my colors are. Warning, success, info, alert. How about background color contrast? How about that? So I'm not seeing a background color there. Well, let's see if, let me add a little bit of padding. Let's say width. Let's just say info background. So one of the things about having like having the text, having the colors be editable by your users, and then also having like the light mode and dark mode, is that you can't just name colors. Like you can't just be in your CSS, I'm going to set this as yellow 500, because yellow 500 will look terrible on a dark background, and you want your people to be able to pick their own kind of accent colors, and so it just makes things a little bit more complicated. All right, info background. I don't love that, but we'll keep it for now. Let's do this. Let's set this span to be display flex, just so I can center it. Justify content center, align items center. Okay, we're getting the right idea here. Maybe inline flex. So we want it to be inline, and then we want this to be a circle. So the trick for that is border radius, just a huge number. There we have it. I wonder if there's margin in that, and I wonder if I should make that text just slightly smaller. So let's say margin. We want there to be left margin, so we're going to say top 0, 0, 0, var S2. So the way that works, it's like a clock. So top, right, bottom, left. There's still something weird going on there. Is it padding? Is it padding it? 0 of the padding. Let's say align items baseline, maybe? No, I was right first time. Maybe it's just slightly too big. Let me say font. Okay. So this H3, we've got this display inline block, but we're not doing this. We need to say align items center. Okay. Oh, inline block. I want it to be inline flex. That's what's going on. There we go. All right. So that is how much work it takes to do this right here. Yeah. Now you know. Now you know what I spend my time doing. Oh, it looks good though. All right. Now underneath that, so we have our heading. We have our heading. Okay. So we're going to have a row, let me go back here, a row of actions here. I gotta think this through. Is this whole thing a form? Is each individual thing a form? Can you nest forms? This is... What's that, chat? Can you nest forms in HTML? Okay, so what we're gonna have to do is have, if we can't nest forms, then that means that this is gonna have to be handled with JavaScript. This is gonna have to be a separate form. This is going to have to be a separate form. This is going to be a form. Again, these are going to be JavaScript. I'm not sure how to do that. It was easy, everyone would do it, right? Let's just start laying it out. So basically we have a row, right? And this is going to be our actions row. And in our actions row, we are going to have an input type checkbox name select all. Okay. That's what I expected. All right, and then we're going to have a form. So this is going to be handled with JavaScript. I don't like JavaScript. So, all right, so we have our form, which we need action equals, for now we're just going to do this, method equals get. It's totally okay on this one. Add our CSRF token. And this is just one input. Pico actually has a search text area, daytime search. Just gonna copy it. Yeah, dude, why wouldn't you? That's awesome. Search, and then we're going to have another form. Let's copy and paste this. Okay. And instead of this, we're just going to have a button. Type equals submit. And that button is going to have a icon in it. So this one's probably better. Sort ascending letters. So we're going to say X tabler sort ascending letters. Button. And that is ugly. But we have all the pieces there that we need for what we're doing. All right, do I want to go ahead and style this? Let me go ahead and style this. Actually, let me go ahead and put the rest of this. So we have our div actions. All right, now actually this is probably, to do this semantically, probably want this to be an unordered list with each thing being a list item. So for each list item, we are going to have a checkbox. The name is going to be select item. All right. And then we're going to have a span with the avatar. So I'm just going to say JT. Pretty sure I actually already have an avatar blade thing. Then the name, I'll say John Doe. It's a class of avatar, so we can target it. And then we will have a form with action to be determined later. Method post. And that form again is just going to be a button. Okay. But instead of the sort ascending letters, the button needs to be start with plus if it's the all right. So now let's take this. We'll sell several copies of it. And let's do some CSS work. Ugh. Okay, so back here, this line item center, text align. What's happened? Oh, invalid. CSS will do that to you. Flex with 100%. Center. That should get what I need right in the center. Okay. In the group. Now. It's our H3. So let's do div.actions. So our actions we're going to do display flex. Just put them all in one line. Exactly. Now we want again line items center. What's going on there? We'll figure it out in a second. First, I need to go to this form. Get this class of search. So I'm going to do form dot search. And we're going to let this one grow. That's exactly what I wanted. Yay! All right, question, why is this guy here? Okay, it looks like the form has both of these forms. It's still not centered right. I'm going to do input and button. Okay, Now we're in the line like we want to be. Just the button. Background color. Parent. Adding a 0. Border. Okay. Needs to be a little bit of space. So I'm going to add the space to margin on both sides of this. So we're going to say 0. Might be too much space, but we'll see. It's not too bad. This whole thing, bring it in just a bit. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I want some kind of a tooltip for this that says select all. I think there's tooltips here. Data tooltip. Data tooltip. Top, right, bottom, left. Let's do bottom. So this guy here, all right. This is a. I'm gonna pick this back up tomorrow. I've done enough for today. Time to switch gears, do church stuff. So, let's